Welcome to the On Assignment podcast, brought to you by Mobilized Man, where our mission is to equip and mobilize men as kingdom assets, men who are actively and intentionally pursuing God's assignment on their life. I'm John Harvey, and I'm here with my co-host, Will Drlik. Will, how you doing?
Good, John. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Happy to be here. Today, we are going to look into the topic of how to make our dreams become reality, how to actually be intentional in the process of pursuing the dreams that God puts in our heart. Mm-hmm. As men on assignment, we know that we are called to more than what we can just do on our own and what we can make happen in our own effort and in our own strength. And that God asks us to partner with him and to invite him into the process of believing him for more and dreaming big dreams and really being men who step out in faith to do things that may seem a little bit crazy at the time. And I think that there's example after example of that in scripture where we see men of faith who took steps in obedience to what God called them to do that were beyond themselves, that they were not able to do completely on their own, but they working with the power of God, the Spirit of God, were able to accomplish great things that God had given them to do. And so as men on assignment, it's like, how can we always be pursuing the dreams that God puts in our heart? Mm-hmm. To really, no matter what season of life you're in, whether you're young and you're in a season where you're pursuing a lot of things for the first time, or to where you're older and you've wrapped up some parts of your life and now you're looking at what to do in your future. We all want to be men who dream, and we all want to be men whose dreams are in alignment with what God has for us. Yeah. Because we know that the Bible tells us that when our dreams are in alignment with what God wants for us, that he's going to help us accomplish those dreams, because that's actually us being in alignment with his will. Yep. And I love the verse that we talked about before starting to record this podcast. And that verse is found in 2 Peter chapter 1. And I'll read it here real quick. 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3-8 says, his divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness. All things. His power has granted to us, or given to us, everything we need through the knowledge of him who called us to his own glory and excellence, by which he has granted to us his precious and very great promises. And so everything that we need comes through knowing him. Mm-hmm. And the calling that he's given to us is going to actually glorify him. When we respond to that calling and we step into what he's called us to, as we get to know him more and more, then we're going to see these precious and very great promises that are mentioned here come to pass in our lives. And that we actually, it says, so that through those promises, we may become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped from the corruption that is in the world because of sinful desire. For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue, and virtue with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with steadfastness, and steadfastness with godliness, and godliness with brotherly affection, and brotherly affection with love. It says then in verse 8, for if these qualities are yours and are increasing, they keep you from being ineffective or unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. There's a lot to unpack there, mm-hmm. But as we as we grow in our knowledge of who God is, who he is, and who we are in him, then we begin to understand ourselves in light of his purpose and plan for our life. Yeah. And as that happens, then our faith begins to grow to believe and trust in him to give us everything we need to do what he's called us to do.
Yeah.
And that's at that point, Peter's saying, hey, if you'll move in that direction, begin to supplement your faith, just like you would supplement with some type of a nutritional supplement when you're trying to have when you have a fitness goal or something like that. You're going to supplement your faith with these different qualities. And as you do that, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to be fruitful.
Yeah.
And you're going to actually fulfill the plan of God for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about dreaming and we're talking about pursuing the dreams that we have inside of our hearts, it really starts with the knowledge of God.
Mm-hmm.
And when we understand how big God is and how much he loves us, and we understand how much good that he has for us, and that he wants to have us be men who live our lives on assignment for his will and purposes, there's going to be times when he asks us to do things that might seem overwhelming or a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, as men of faith, we can do that knowing that he's going, as we step out in faith, we have nothing to fear.
Mm-hmm.
God's a big God. He has big love for us, and his love, his perfect love, casts out fear.
Yep.
So we're not responding in fear, but we're actually able to respond in faith to what he asks us to do. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because it starts when we're young. We start stepping into these things in front of us that seem daunting and a little overwhelming at the time.
Yeah.
And then as we do that, we begin to learn, okay, oh, wow, this is doable. This is something that I can actually take on. And then the dreams can grow from there. And one of the dreams in your life when you were a young man was to become a firefighter.
Yep.
When I say when you were a young man, just so you know, I still consider you a young man.
No.
Yes.
I'm pushing 30.
Well, yeah,
almost.
you're almost pushing 30.
Pushing 30 almost.
Yeah. Well, that's a great season of life. And so we want to talk a little bit about that journey today, Will, as far as like, how did you go, look right now as a firefighter, take us back to when you first started thinking about becoming a firefighter and what that season of life was like for you and how you began to make that dream become a reality.
Yeah, I think it goes back to just childhood and having dreams as a young kid were products of our environment, and I was obsessed with trucks. My dad was a truck driver, and so I would occasionally go on road trips with him, driving trucks, and that was my dream. So like my dad was just like any boy, your dad is your hero. If he's around, you're his little buddy. And so I was obsessed with semi trucks. My dad would go out of town a couple nights a week, and he'd always bring me back like a new toy semi truck, and I'd have my collection, and I'd do my own truck shows, and then sometimes he'd take me to truck shows. And so I had this one obsession that was a dream. Like when I was like 4 years old, my dream was to be a truck driver.
Okay.
Like that was,
yeah.
You don't have to pay me $2. I'd be rich if I was just driving truck, just doing what my dad did. He was, like I said, your dad is your hero when you're growing up as a young kid. And so started with that. And I was just infatuated with trucks and vehicles and mechanics. And I kept that kind of passion. I'm still obsessed with like old Chevys and old school vehicles. My dad, I kind of got that itch from him. And so I wanted to be a truck driver. That was my first dream. And then you get a little bit older, get a little bit more, you're like, truck drivers make how much? Things are kind of expensive. And then, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people necessarily aspire to be truck drivers nowadays. I don't know. Right. My dreams kind of shifted.
Yeah.
Love my dad, love what he does. He loves what he does. He's very passionate about it. He's good at it. I'm not saying anything bad about truck drivers, but that dream kind of transformed into something else. And so I had that dream, and then I kind of want to go into my childhood too, because you've talked a lot about having a pastor's heart as a kid,
Yeah.
and like passion to care for people.
Right.
And you kind of you felt yourself in these environments as a kid where you had stepped up and helped people.
Yeah.
I kind of had that growing up too. Um, and I'm a perfect blend of my parents. So my dad, he's a truck driver, super hardworking guy, but doesn't necessarily think before he does things. He's just a hardworking dude,
Yeah.
and he'll just jump in and do something, or jump in and say something, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
My mom, she's amazing as well, but she's a lot more thoughtful, a lot more attention to safety.
Okay.
And so I kind of got to watch these two dynamics. And so that kind of prepared me for what I do now. Is like, I need to jump into action like my dad, but I also need to take calculated risks like my mom.
Right.
So growing up in that environment, being kind of having a pastor's heart and wanting to care for people, and then just knowing people. We had a family friend who's a captain at Vancouver, and it's just all these things come into alignment, and it's a slow process. Also, team sports, like being involved in team sports as a kid, it's like there's that camaraderie that being a firefighter has, and I wanted to find a job to where that was involved as well.
Yeah.
And so slowly these things just continued to be exposed to me. Figured out what a firefighter did. They do way more than just respond to house fires. I mean, your general population just thinks that that's all that they do, and they stay at a house and they sit in recliners all day. And no, there's way more to it. But through Washington State, we do a senior project. So every senior in high school either volunteers for something that they're interested in or job shadows. And I got to do my senior project with our family friend who is a captain at Vancouver Fire Department.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he brought me in the firehouse, and I got to work a couple shifts with him, and I just fell in love with it.
Okay.
And it was like all of those dreams as a kid being put into those situations, the way that I was raised around my two parents and kind of having the perfect balance of those two, my personality that was built through growing up in that, the desire to want to be a team player and to have the camaraderie and team sports and be a part of a crew and wanting to serve. Also growing up, I had a desire to serve in the military too.
Mm-hmm.
And looked at some options there, kind of right as I was figuring out the fire service thing, whether I was going to go to do this right out with John or go to college. It was just, there's a lot going on in high school.
Yeah.
But just the entirety of all of those situations, and I went and worked with John and was like, this is it.
Right.
This is everything that I've been looking for. It checks all of my boxes, and this is my new dream. And so there was like an awakening moment.
Yeah.
And I was a senior in high school doing my senior project, and I'm super thankful for that, because it takes some people a long time to have that spark.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I was going to talk about that, because you think about if you hadn't had that opportunity to job shadow your family friend, you would not have been able to, you may not have had another opportunity to be exposed to what the true what a true shift would look like, and have that sparked it within your heart.
Yep.
It reminds me of the time we took a group of people from our church down to Guatemala to do a missions trip down there. And there was a young gal on our team. I think she was either a junior or senior in high school. And when we were down there, the medical clinic, we were actually visiting my parents who were missionaries down there. And the medical clinic that my mother had started was actually a large clinic that did acted almost like a hospital, but they also had a department for physical therapy because there's really no physical therapy available to the indigenous population down
Yeah.
there. And so we got to go in and work with these Indian kids and these different people in that clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a young lady on our team who you could just tell, like you could see in her the spark that happened at that moment. It was very obvious.
That's awesome.
And she actually, from that trip, got back to the States, was beginning to identify how could she become a physical therapist, and then be found out that the best way for her to do that was to join the Air Force and then have, be in the military and then get trained. And that's what she did. And she looked back, we were talking years later, and she looked back at that moment. She's like, yeah, that's when I knew, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how those opportunities, creating opportunities for a young person to get out of their regular environment, to be able to step into something different, to get some exposure into some different areas and pay attention to what fires them up.
Yeah.
I love what happened with you there because that was a point in time that was definitive in your life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It changed the trajectory of my life
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. From that point on, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And, yeah, they took me in. I mean, it started, got there an hour early, and then made breakfast with the crew. I knew nothing about the fire service. Didn't know they ate together. Knew they worked 24-hour shifts, but didn't know the dynamic of the firehouse. And just every single thing about the job was so intriguing and cool.
Yeah.
To where it's not just the action, but also like what's the crew dynamic in a house, eating together,
Right.
joking around the kitchen table. It was just very much a crew, team, family environment. And I was like, you guys get paid to do this? Like, you get paid to hang out with your friends
Right.
and
Yeah.
joke around and do cool stuff and help people, and
Wow.
people enjoy you. Every time you're driving around the fire truck, people are waving at you.
Yeah.
You are on a scene and you help someone and people are coming up to you saying thank you so much. I was like, you guys, like,
Yeah.
screw being a professional like sports player. This
Right.
is the dream.
Right.
So I was just so intrigued by that. And I mean, you're not a part of the crew at that point, but just being around there and seeing the crew and just being there kind of like a fly on the wall to see just what that life is like. It was so just so awesome, so life-changing. And it gives you that vision of like, okay, I see these guys.
Yeah.
These guys achieved it. I know it's going to be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's going to be a lot of work involved, and there's no promises. There's guys that have this dream and desire, and for whatever reason, they don't get in.
Mm.
And so you hear about those stories too, and it's like, there's still that spark and desire, that fuel to like, no, I'm going to make this happen.
Wow.
Like, whatever I need to do to make this happen, I will. And then, so that was senior year, graduated high school, got my EMT. And then just to like, for some reason, like when I was in high school, I started listening to country music, and like that shift work, there was like almost like this glorification of shift work.
Okay.
Or like working in a warehouse,
Right.
or like hard working, doing a hard job, working 12, 14-hour days. And so I was getting my EMT, and in the meantime, I was like, oh, I'll go make some money. I'll apply for this job, this warehouse job. And I got it so easy, and I was like, oh, this might be my new dream of doing shift work and working 14-hour days and having blisters all over my hands.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I went and worked in this warehouse that made super big culverts.
Okay. Like concrete, or actually the corrugated?
No, corrugated.
Okay.
Yeah, advanced drainage systems.
Okay.
They had a warehouse in Washougal.
Okay.
And I think I worked there for 2 14-hour days, and I think I was on my 3rd day, and I walked into the office, and I just said, "I I don't think I can do this."
Yeah.
So it gave me
That's
a
crazy.
vision
Yeah.
of what I did not want to do,
Right.
and it instilled vision in me of like, "No, I'm going to be a firefighter."
And
Like,
I think that that's about as just important a part of the
oh,
process as knowing what you want to do.
it was just as pivotal of a moment of
Yeah.
like going and just the people that I met, they were so nice, but they were like in their 40s. They'd been there forever and they kind of just felt stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And the work was a grind
Mm.
and I was beat down and tired. And these people were super strong, but you're making minimum wage. It's a dead end job. And I was just like, this is not
Right.
for me. Like
Yeah.
there's so much more potential. And thankfully I got the glimpse of what being a firefighter was
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And being a firefighter, it's hard work. But the warehouse job was just, I can't be in a building for 14
Do the
hours a
same
day
thing day in and day out.
and it's like those guys were working 6 days a week, like 14-hour days. And I think it was like $14 an hour,
Wow.
lots of overtime.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
looking at that, but
Right.
I quit before I even got my first paycheck.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for people to understand that not everyone's meant to do every type of job. I mean,
Yeah.
there's seasons in life where you just do whatever it takes.
Yep.
But I remember for me, my first summer framing in Missouri, coming out of my sophomore year in high school, I framed that summer, and it was absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
Just the heat, the humidity in Missouri, and but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved working on the crew,
Yep.
or the team.
Yep.
I loved working with men who were just like tough, solid, just men who I just really looked up to. And I remember that next summer that my boss decided to hire a couple of other high school kids, and both of them, we all started, that week after school was out, and those two guys lasted a day, maybe 2 days, and
Yeah.
then they were out. And I just realized at the time that it wasn't judgment against those guys. It's just like not everyone's wired to do every type of job.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something very good. We talked with Sabrina, our guest Sabrina, about the alignment for the assignment, how God wires you a certain way, and then he gives you an assignment that lines up with how he made you a lot of times. And so being able to understand, what am I about and what am I not about?
Yeah.
And that's so important. I feel like that there is a place where it's like, okay, if it's just because it's hard work and it's just long hours and hard work, and that's why you're making your decision, then that's not a good reason. Maybe the Lord's going to use that to develop in you the work ethic that you need to have developed. But at the same time, in that pit in your stomach and in your heart, hey, this isn't the kind of work that I want to do the rest of my life.
No. And it was just going to get in the way of the call that God had on my life.
Yeah. 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 That's so good. And so you get out of high school, you got a job at the factory or at the warehouse for 3 days,
2.5.
Yeah. 2.5 days.
Don't.
And then don't just short for the 30 something hours. Yeah. Hey, but I totally get that though. I mean, it's not like it's absolutely like, yeah, this isn't for me.
It was not.
Like I had an opportunity to work for a company that wanted me to do sales, and I would have had to have had an earpiece made up for your ear.
Oh yeah.
And you're on the phone all day in a cubicle, and they just give you a list of phone calls you have to make every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the money was pretty good and the benefit package was great. And you're working in an air conditioned environment and it's very controlled, like set hours, Monday through Friday. And so there was all these pros to it. But as I was considering it, I was looking at myself, and as active as I like to be, and as much as I like to work with my hands, it's like, that's not going to fit me.
Yeah.
And so it's good to understand that about yourself. And when you came to that realization, then what was your next what was your next steps then from there? You said you got
Well,
your EMT, is that
yep,
right?
I got my EMT. So right out of high school, I think right when I graduated high school, I enrolled in the EMT class. And that's like a 3-month class, I believe. And
Okay.
so I enrolled in that. I want to say the warehouse job was the summer I graduated. So I basically graduated and then rolled into that warehouse job, figured out not going to do this,
Yeah.
not my path.
Yep.
I think I enrolled in EMT school like right
Okay.
then. And so
Yeah.
started EMT school, started chasing that dream. Started volunteering at Kamaswashugal Fire Department, which is my hometown that I grew up in.
How
That
hard?
was in 2016.
Okay.
That was in, I graduated 2015. I think I started that academy like end of 2015.
Okay. How difficult was the EMT program for you? That 3-month.
It was a blast.
Okay.
It was a blast. Learning about, I love that kind of stuff, just the medical side of things.
Mhm.
It was very interesting. Trying to think. It's been a while since I wrapped my mind around this, but I believe I started volunteering at Kamaswash Fire Department before I did my EMT. So I was already exposed to, I went through the academy. I believe it was a 1 month or 2 month academy, a couple days a week for the volunteer program at Kamaswashugal. Got assigned a mentor.
Okay.
And started pulling shifts as a volunteer
Okay.
before I had my EMT.
So you would be scheduled on a shift as a volunteer.
Yep.
Would that shift coincide with your mentor's shift into where you're working with him?
Yeah, so I was assigned a mentor on B shift. And
Okay.
so like for our first year, we were to pull shifts with our mentor. And so
Wow.
every B shift or any B shift that I was available, I started pulling shifts with him. In the meantime, I was also working at FedEx Freight as a dock worker, forklift operator.
Okay.
So had getting some real life experience.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that job a lot, and volunteering at Camas. And then I believe 2 months in after pulling shifts, I think it was the very start of 2016 was when I started EMT school. So I got exposed to the fire service, started running calls,
Okay.
started just learning the ropes through the volunteer process and my mentor, and then went to EMT school. And kind of through all that, I loved the EMT class. Wasn't difficult.
Okay.
Learned a lot of great things. Learned how it's pretty systematic, like
Right.
the way that you at least learn how to run calls is a very systematic process. A lot of acronyms, a
Yeah.
lot of protocols, a lot of this is how we do things. A lot of like National Registry EMT worksheets that you follow
Okay. Yeah.
that prepare you to be an EMT,
Right.
but we're not going through a skill sheet when we're running an actual call.
Right.
So it was very good at preparing you to pass a test, giving you the basics, giving you the understanding, and then giving you a framework of how to run an EMS call and how to help people.
Right.
But you don't develop the human aspect of being an EMT until you're actually helping a real patient.
Right.
You're not using an acronym or following a skill sheet or BSI, seen as safe. That was what we were taught, was make sure that we have our gloves on, seen as safe.
Yeah.
That was like a critical failure. I think anyone going through EMT school will laugh at that, because obviously we don't verbalize these critical failures when we're running an actual call.
Right.
But it was good. I enjoyed it. Met some really good people that are still working in the fire service today.
Yeah. But at that time though, you're pursuing the fire fighting position, but you don't have a designated spot on a team. It's still like up in the air as to whether or not you're going to get a job.
Yep. Yeah, this is all preparing to get a job. You have to, in a lot of states, Washington being one of them, you have to have your EMT minimum to be hired as a firefighter.
Right.
And you have to be building experience. So you basically start building your resume.
Are are there a certain number of hours required for volunteering, or?
I want to say there was 48 hours a month
Okay.
that
Wow.
you like 2 shifts a month.
Yeah.
I believe when I was going through, I was hitting that no problem.
Yeah.
My parents are amazing and they saw the hunger and the dream. And so didn't have to pay for rent. I was living with my parents at the
Right.
time. And so I was as hungry as I could. I'd work part-time at FedEx Freight, get off from there, go right to the fire station, pull a shift, try to work as many B shifts as I could with my mentor.
Yeah.
I loved it to the point where might have been annoying, but I loved it. And I just wanted to get as much experience as I could.
Wow.
And, I was borderline obsessed with it. It became just like I knew my purpose. And it's strange because I wasn't surrendered to the Lord at the time,
Okay.
but he's so faithful that he gives you these desires even when like I wasn't surrendered to him.
Right.
But he still had a plan for my life, and he was still like giving me these desires in my heart and opening doors and closing doors and creating a pathway for me even before I accepted him as my Lord and Savior.
Right.
And so it's cool looking back of like where I am now, the doors that he's opened me up to, and now knowing my assignment on my life, and he was opening doors before I even claim that I loved him.
Right.
You know, like he loves you that much.
Yeah. You look at those pivotal moves that you make when in your younger years, and you understand that it wasn't because I just made every right choice and I did it. It was like God actually made a way for me to get to where I got to. And that's such a important thing for people to understand, is that, God is at work in front of where you're at right now.
100%.
And that don't let discouragement come in to keep you from moving forward as you feel like that's what you're supposed to do, because just because it's tough right now, you're going to work your way through that. And God's making a way in front of you to get to where you need to get to be.
Yeah. He has plans for you.
Yeah. And one day you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, well, that's why this happened, or that's why I went through that, was so that I could actually get to where the Lord wanted me to be. And go ahead.
We talked about steadfastness, and with this dream, that there was a steadfastness about pursuing this dream that I had to have, that prepared the way for me. And so I think when you have a dream, there's going to be extremely hard work involved.
Yeah.
And you have to be steadfast.
Yep.
And you have to power through certain aspects of it. I don't want to say like God creates a path, but it's not easy. You know, like it causes you to grow, and he creates a path for you, but just because it's not easy doesn't mean that's not the path that you need to take.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't want people to think like, well, this is getting hard, so I must not be operating in the path that God has for me or in his will on my life. It's like, no, the steadfastness that it took to achieve my dream, to put me to where I'm at today. I mean, there's volunteering, there's EMT school, there's working at FedEx, there's going to PCC, there's starting an internship. And then my first fire job was up in Alaska.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
In 2016, I was in the middle of my internship and got hired up in Alaska. And so it's just like there's a steadfastness about to get to where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. Because you're exactly right. The ease in which the path takes or has in getting to where you wanted to go is not the litmus test for if it's right or not.
Yeah.
Just easy doesn't make it right.
Mm-mm.
And hard doesn't make it wrong. And so God uses the challenges to develop in us what needs to be developed, because otherwise the easy path doesn't develop us the way we need it to. And so there will for sure be difficulties and challenges along the way. But like we read in Second Peter there, it's like he gives us everything we need.
Yep.
He gives us what we need for life and godliness as we pursue him and pursue the dreams that he puts in our hearts. And it does require us to be patient and persistent, steadfast. And there's going to be lots of opportunities for people to want to give up and get discouraged.
Yep.
Did you find yourself at any point to that? Did you get to that level at all, or was it just you were just so locked in on the goal that you just stuck with it no matter what the challenge?
I was locked in on this is what I want to do, and I will go anywhere that I need to achieve that.
Yeah.
Whether that be on an island in Alaska or back home by my family, or I've been with, I believe, 5 different fire departments.
Okay.
Along the journey, each giving me tools and abilities, and a part of God's path that he had laid out for me, and meeting new people and relationships and having new mentors and just equipping me to be to where I'm at right now.
Taking full advantage of every opportunity, it sounds like.
Yep.
So what was that like? So you're like, you've gotten your EMT and you're trying to find a job, and then somehow a door opens up for you to go to Alaska. What was that like? How did that come about?
Yeah. So I was a volunteer at Kamaswashugal, met someone there who was also an internship. And so just each area you meet new people and you talk to people and ask them about their path or the path that they're taking. And I met a guy there that was also an intern at Fire District 3, which is where I work now, and started an internship, which an internship differs from a volunteer program. An internship, you're actually assigned a shift and you work every third day. You work a full-time fire schedule, and you're assigned a mentor. And so I was doing full-time internship, volunteering at Kamaswashugal twice a month, 2 shifts a month, working at FedEx Freight, going to PCC, all of this at the same time.
Wow. And that's all, like, an internship sounds like it's not paid.
Or you get a stipend.
You get a stipend.
Pays for your gas.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
we made $300 a month as an intern.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so that's why I was working FedEx Freight too.
Yeah. You had to
made a little bit of extra money, but like my parents were amazing. They saw the drive, and I was living at home. I had very little like liabilities, you would say. And I was just chasing this dream, and it sounds crazy now looking back of everything that I was doing, but it prepared me, like we've said, to do what I'm doing now and to give me the life experience that was needed to do well at the job of firefighting. And so, so I was an intern for 6 months and then was applying everywhere for fire jobs. Saw this opportunity in Kodiak, Alaska.
Wow.
Making, I think it was like $16 an hour up in Kodiak, Alaska. I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of competition for that. So I was like, hey, if I want to be a full-time firefighter, this is my opportunity.
On the island, on Kodiak?
At 19 years old.
That's cool.
So I applied, and man, it was like fresh meat for that department. They were stoked. I think I applied. I got a phone call from the chief. They were thrilled. They're like, hey, we'll fly you out. We'll pay for your hotel. We'll pay for your ticket. This trip's on us. We want you. Come on, check it out. And so they flew me up. I want to say it was like June or July of 2016.
Good time of year for them to recruit you.
Oh, great time of year. Yeah, the sun was out. It was beautiful. The weather's pretty similar to here, to the Pacific Northwest in the summertime. And the nights were long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good times
it was
in Kodiak.
Yeah, it was a great time to recruit some fresh 19-year-olds. right out of
Oh
high
my
school.
word.
But I went up there and it was an absolute blast. It was beautiful. Um, Different. It's like a coastal town. I would compare it to like if you go down to the Oregon coast, like a little coastal town, not a lot of people.
Do you know what the population of Kodiak
So
Island?
they have the Coast Guard, which
Okay.
increases their population drastically.
Okay.
I want to say 14,000 is the population, but a vast majority of that is Coast Guard
Okay.
personnel and
All right.
families. But there's only 50 miles of roadway. Um, I want to say I knew all these facts about the island, but the island of Kodiak is huge. The
Okay.
town of Kodiak is small, but there's all these little villages around the island that don't have road systems to
Right.
them.
Yeah.
If
Isolated.
if something happens, the Coast Guard goes and flies to them, medevacs them out, or they have bush planes that fly them into us. But there's an airport in Kodiak, and so it was just it was very cool to get exposed to this at a young age.
Yeah.
The medical system of Kodiak Island was crazy. So they would go Coast Guard, someone would call 911 on a village, Coast Guard would go out, fly them, pick them up, bring them to the airport. We'd go pick them up in our ambulance and then take them to the hospital.
Oh wow.
That was their
Okay.
medical system
Right.
where they didn't have road systems. But it was very cool. It was a new opportunity. It was a full-time job doing what I wanted to do, not necessarily in the area that I wanted to do it. I also met my wife in high school and we were dating at the time.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
And
Were you
plane tickets up to Kodiak aren't cheap.
right? Were you like, you either come with me or we break this thing off?
No, I put Sydney through the ringer.
Oh my
But she
word.
was on board for my dream. Like I owe a lot to
Wow,
her
that's amazing.
for just talk about steadfastness. That girl is steadfast with all of my crazy ideas and this will be awesome. And yeah, we weren't married at the time, so she didn't come up there with me. I was there by myself. But just talk about growing up, to go from basically graduating high school the year prior, living at home with my parents. My mom is so sweet, but she does baby me a lot. She'd make my bed and put my lunches together at like
Wow.
18, 19.
No kidding.
Yeah. So to go from that to on an island by yourself in Alaska making $16 an hour was an awesome adjustment that
Yeah.
I needed to have. That
Mm.
was kind of like a rite of passage for me
Okay.
to go up there and do that.
So you went in the summer just to interview and to get to know them.
So I interviewed, did a little testing process. I kind of just knew it, but they were like, "Yeah, we want to hire you," and so they ended up hiring me, and then my onboarding date was August
Okay.
of 2016.
Okay.
So I
So
went up
pretty
there.
quick.
Yeah, I went up there August of 2016, and then was up there. Really enjoyed it, but knew that I'm not supposed to live on Kodiak.
But
Like,
was it like a warehouse type experience where you were there for just a couple weeks and you're like, okay,
I was there until November.
okay. So
I was there for 4 months.
4 months. Yeah.
End of November. I think I came back right after Thanksgiving. Just you don't have any family up there.
Yeah.
I was making friends. And it was a great opportunity. I'm glad I took it, but soon I realized like this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm young. I've been given this awesome opportunity and I'm super thankful for it. And it helped me grow in certain
Right.
areas and getting out of mom and dad's house and
Yeah.
putting on your big boy pants.
Yeah.
And I was doing it, but while I was up there, there was a job announcement for not my local fire department, but the neighboring agency to my fire department that I knew very well,
Okay.
called East County Fire and Rescue. They cover the east side of Camas. And my mentor actually worked for them and was really good friends with the chief. So I saw that testing opportunity come up, and I messaged my mentor saying, "Hey, I do enjoy where I'm at, but I'd love to take this opportunity to test for this fire
Yeah.
department." And it was a part-time position with this fire department, not a full-time position, but still I knew that it would be a good move
Right.
to go work there.
Right. Okay.
Also, being on Kodiak, you can't test for any other fire departments while you're there.
Oh, really?
Well, you're stuck. You're on an island. I'd have to pay $1,500 to go fly to an area to test for another fire department.
Right.
So
it wasn't a matter of regulation. It was more of just a
like
practical thing.
logistics, like
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And you got to get time off. I was working 48 hours on duty, 48 hours off duty.
Wow.
And so lining up 2 days to go test at another department just wasn't going to happen. So all these things took into account, and so November, I think I tested for that department in October while I was up in Kodiak, just did a Skype interview with the chief. They ended up hiring me as a part-time firefighter at East County Fire and Rescue in November. So I came back home, started working for East County Fire and Rescue.
So in that time, you're transitioning into this new career, have your first job.
Yep.
What was it like adapting to the nature of some of the calls you were getting and going from the textbook application of a bunch of acronyms to actually working that out in the field? How was that for you? Was that because you got the element of head knowledge,
Yep.
but you also have this element where, as a first responder, you're stepping into situations where the stress can be really intense because of the nature of the accidents or the situation that you're dealing with. How was that for a young guy just starting out?
It just comes down to the way that we train and how much we train. So when I rode out with Vancouver, I was exposed to the bad side of the job that first time I rode out. So
With
when
your
I was in high school,
Oh, wow.
doing my senior project, we
Okay.
went on an overdose of a kid that was the same age as me that did not make it.
Okay.
And I got to see the way that they operated, the level of training of these firefighters and EMTs, everything that they did. I got to hear, see, smell the call. I got to see them deliver news to the parents. I got to
Oh,
see the
wow.
parents' reaction. I was exposed to this my very first time.
Okay. Yeah.
That did not deter me away from being a firefighter.
Okay.
And so kind of from that moment on, I knew, you know what, I can handle.
Yeah.
Like I've been exposed to something pretty traumatic that not a lot of people get to see.
Right.
And I feel like my head is in the right spot.
Okay.
I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that team that did everything that they could do to help that person and to help that family. And they exhausted all efforts for that family and for that kid. And the outcome wasn't good, but they did everything that they could to
Right.
try to make the outcome better.
Okay.
And I was able to process that really well. And the more training that you do and the more knowledge that you get, it helps the situation because you're not just sitting back looking at what happened and processing it for what it is.
Okay.
You're looking up, you're knowing protocols, you're knowing what you need to do, different equipment that you need to use, different medications that need to be used to help that person. There's so much going on and there's so many decisions that you're making in your head quickly that it's a lot easier, I think, to you're just distracted, I think.
Right.
You're not sitting back and just
Right.
looking at a horrific situation, you're doing everything that you can with your training and your knowledge to make the situation better. And if something's not working, okay, we're going to go to the next thing. If that's not working, we're going to go to the next thing. If that's not working, we're going to go to the next thing. Oh, this worked really well. Okay, we're going to keep doing that. And everyone has a job on those calls. And so I think I really liked that.
Yeah.
It is not easy. It's not for everyone.
Right.
But knowing that knowing that someone has to do that job and has to do it well,
Yeah.
and that on someone's worst day, being that person that someone's going to call, is really fulfilling.
Right.
And yeah, I don't want to negate the fact, and it is hard to watch, but with the training that we have and the way that the hiring process is, we bring on people that can handle that
Right.
mentally.
Yeah. So you were able to, from the beginning, you were able to detach from the emotions and the stress of the situation. Maybe not the stress, but at least the emotional side of the situation.
Yep.
And initially watch how the team was trained and how they responded. And then as you were trained, you were able to step into that training and operate according to what you'd learned and be able to really not allow the the stress and the nature of the calls impact you at a real deep personal level in the moment. You were able to
Yeah.
lead through that,
Yeah,
which is
that's
actually remarkable for a young guy coming out of high school to be able to step right
and I
into that.
wasn't exposed to, like, we didn't lose family. I wasn't exposed to a lot of death. I wasn't exposed to a lot of trauma.
Mhm.
I don't know why I'm able to process things the way that I'm able to process things, but yeah, from a young age, like from 18 years in high school, I've been exposed to that
Yeah.
for a long time.
Have you seen guys come in since you've been a full-time professional? Have you seen guys come in that was just like too much and they weren't able to really, they weren't wired the same way and they weren't able to take it on or?
So, I'm trying to think. We have what's called peer support, and we make it a really healthy environment to share your feelings and to decompress and to talk about what you've seen. And
Okay.
we equip our guys from a very young, early on in their career,
Yeah.
early on in their internship, of like, you're going to be exposed to these things. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel these certain ways. But I think a lot of who we hire, and like I said, there's so much going on that you have to detach.
Right.
If you don't detach, you will be distracted and you won't do your job and you won't do it well.
Right.
And you will probably either find your way out or be removed,
Yeah.
because you won't be able to process things and be successful at your job. And
Yeah.
so I would say, like, we do get interns that walk away from the job. We do get um, typically people coming in as a hired person has some sort of EMS experience, volunteer experience, intern experience, to where they've been exposed to things. So like, if you're a paid person with us, the chances of you walking away from
Right.
the emotional side of the job isn't
Yeah.
there. But yeah, for our interns, we are very persistent and talk to them and say, you're going to be exposed to these things, and these
Yeah.
are the things that you do with what you see, and we're going to talk about things. We're going to debrief. But what you said about compartmentalizing and detaching, that it's a must
Yeah.
at what we do.
Yeah.
If you don't, like I said, you will not, you won't be successful.
Right.
And there's a point where you can only detach so much to where you do. That's why we have peer support, is to help guys through that. And if people need more help, then we guide them to resources that are able to give them that help to help process things. Because there are things that are unimaginable that some guys witness, to where
Mhm.
it's like no one would be able to process that without help.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a very complicated, I think. Everyone's kind of different. Everyone has a different cup. Everyone can take so much. Everyone can process things so much. It's a very, I think, dynamic part of the job. Um, but yeah, that's where the camaraderie piece comes in. Is we're all family.
Right.
We can tell when someone's feeling a little
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
We know when someone's on their game, when someone's not on their game, when we need to touch base, when we need to say, "Hey, dude, let's go grab a coffee after shift."
Mhm.
These
Mhm.
are some, like, I know you.
Right.
You're normally a super fun guy. What's going on? Did you run a bad call? Is everything good at home? And that's where, like, this calling on my life, this discipling, this just showing love and God's purpose on my life, like, really came into effect, was like opening these doors
Mhm.
to just love on each other
Yeah. Yep.
and be there for your brothers. And then introduce, like, if someone's open and willing, introduce faith and explain how God has helped me heal from uh the things that we witness
Right.
or what we do or the hard challenging parts of the job.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what you're saying, the detachment piece is huge, and compartmentalizing. And yeah, when I, like, that first time writing out, seeing that and not being afraid or not wanting to do it, that just wasn't an option. I wanted to do it even more
Right.
after seeing something like that.
And yeah, that's a great indicator as to whether or not you're cut out for a certain type of work or not, you know.
Mhm.
And it sounds like there's a process where people who ultimately would not want to be in that position are able to find that out during their training and intern programs and are able to get out when they find out, hey, that's not the way that.
And we keep a good pulse on people, especially our
Yeah.
interns. Like, they're normally with a mentor who knows them very
Yeah.
well. We're not going to put them in a situation to where they need to witness something that they don't need to witness, that they
Totally.
don't need to be a part of. We're very um, aware of, like, stuff that you just don't need to see, where you're not going to make an impact, like a
Yeah.
suicide or something ugly like that. We're going
Yeah.
to say, hey, you hang out in the rig or stand by. You don't need to see this.
Yeah.
You don't need to be exposed to this until they can show us that. Um, I mean, even, I don't even want to say until they can show us, but we're not going to expose them to that. But we're just very in tune with where they are at emotionally. If I'm assigned an intern, I watch them on a call. I watch their eyes. I watch the way that they
Mm.
interact with patients. I watch the way they're continuing to focus on their skills. And if there's anything off, any delays, anything that doesn't seem ordinary, I will jump in and just say, "Hey, let's take a break." Or
Okay.
obviously when it's appropriate.
Right. Yeah.
We're there to help people. We're there to make a situation better, or that we just need to have a conversation after, saying, "Hey, I noticed these things. Are you okay?
Right.
Are you processing this okay?"
Mhm.
It's just part of being intentional.
Yeah. Wow, so you said yes to the opportunity in Kodiak and we're like, "Man, I wanna pursue a full-time fire position."
Yeah.
We're there a few months, and then opportunity came up at District 3. You went and you basically had to, in order to test, it sounds like in order to test for District 3, you basically had to say, "Kodiak, hey, I'm done here and I'm gonna pursue something," or did you test before you gave your notice at Kodiak? How did that work?
So I tested at East County Fire and Rescue.
Oh, East County, yeah, that's
Yep,
right.
East County and Camas, while I was there, and got the word from the chief that they wanted to give me a conditional. Once I got the conditional, then I went and talked to um, Kodiak, gave them plenty of notice. They were starting a new academy, so they were able to fill my position
Okay.
before I left, which was great.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's the thing, is like, change is okay, but you need to make sure that you're communicating appropriately and you're not creating a bad name for yourself.
Right.
Like, I was very intentional about communicating the need to move and go do what I needed to do to further my career.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it's just very important, but I had to wrestle with that of being like, is this the right move for my career? Because I'm leaving a full-time position for a part-time position, and why am I doing that? And it ended up working out for me, but it was a tension that I had to wrestle at a young age. Was like, I either way would be an okay decision, but I have to justify my reason to leave this full-time job.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
coming up on further interviews. I knew that I was going to have more interviews and I wanted to be a full-time firefighter. And so that would come up in the interview process of, okay, how can I justify, why did I leave? It wasn't performance based. It wasn't because I was struggling.
Yeah.
It was because I wanted to further my career. And this was the next step that I thought was appropriate in order to get further in my career. And it ended up working out very well. So went to East County Fire and Rescue, continued my internship at District 3 while I was a part-time firefighter at East County.
Wow.
So I was working 48 hours on, so 2 days on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 2 days off. So just working a lot,
Yeah.
getting a lot of experience, which was amazing. And then 6 months into that, I went and tested for Lebanon Fire District down near Corvallis, which was about an hour and a half to 2 hours south of us. And I worked down there for 2 years.
Okay.
So from 2018, I got hired there in 2018 until 2020. And that was a blast. I met some amazing people. Was down there for 2 years, ran a bunch of calls, got to work on an ambulance company as part of the fire district. We ran right around 7,000 calls a year out of 2 stations, which is a ton of calls
Yeah.
for a
Wow.
small rural town.
Yeah.
We were running on average like 20 calls a shift out of 2 stations.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, ran some really, really good calls, met some amazing people. Just learned a lot, but always wanted to come back home to Clark County.
Okay.
And so that was always our dream, was to.
Were you dating Sid at the time?
I was dating Sid this whole time.
Okay.
So from high school until where we're at now.
Wow.
Yep,
Okay.
her and I were
Yeah.
together. And so she was staying home in Camas. I was working down in Lebanon, started a life down there and did that for 2 years. And then I think it was right before her and I got engaged, I tested for District 3.
Okay.
And then got hired in District 3 in 2020. So, like I said, 5 different departments, each preparing me, giving me different tools along the way to prepare me for where I'm at now. And it's just each one was a growth.
Okay.
Like each one was a progression
Right.
to where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Career-wise, financially, family-wise, life-wise. Working in Clark County has always been my dream. Every department that I've been a part of knew that my goal was to get back to Clark County.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, it's quite a journey.
But you had to be willing to make those sacrifices involved with not just staying in Clark County and just saying, well, I'm going to wait until the door opens and just do other things until that time. But you had to be assertive and say, I'm going to take a job in Kodiak. I'm going to come back and test out with East County. I'm going to go down to Lebanon.
And each department made me grateful and more grateful for where I'm at now. Not saying that those places are bad at all, but if I would have just stayed in Clark County, I wouldn't have the perspective that I had of the way that different fire departments operate, how amazing they are, but also just how blessed I am now with where I'm at now. It's given me a greater sense of appreciation for just where I'm at, the people that I'm around, and just the way that we do things at District 3. I love the people, and just seeing the way that other people do things. It's important. Perspective's a huge thing.
Yeah. And that broadening of your experience.
And meeting new people. Like, I've met so many people along the way at so many different departments that I loved and have a relationship with and continue to stay in touch with. It's just, yeah, I wouldn't change my path
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah.
It was a
That's
great path.
incredible points of time where that brotherhood's developed, and you may not see those guys now for a while, but when you do see them, you'll
Well,
catch right back
and
up.
Hayden, I met in Lebanon. So
Oh,
he was a
really?
paramedic in
Okay.
Lebanon. I would have never known Hayden
Okay.
before working down in
Right.
Lebanon.
Isn't that
And
interesting?
so
Yeah.
now he's come up and works at the same department as
Yeah.
me. And so just making those connections, and
Mm-hmm.
he met his wife. His wife went to the same high school as me, and now they live up in Clark County near us. And
Wow. Yeah.
it's just so cool to see how God works and God introduces people into your life. And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the different elements of of your story, because it takes a lot of just clarity of vision and specific goals for you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to move to Lebanon,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that that's not my permanent location, but that it's a growth, it's a, it's a way that I can grow and
Yep.
become better. And, and so having the wherewithal to do that as a young man and have more of a long-term mindset rather than a short-term mindset, to where it's like stepping into things. Hey, this is going to take a couple, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however long, I don't know, but I'm going to step into it knowing that it's going to take me in the direction I want to head. But yet it'd be so easy just to say, I'm just going to camp out here and not do that, hoping that a door opens up here. And so, with that being said, what would be some things that you would tell a young guy who was like discovering his passion for a certain type of work or a certain type of career path, as they're starting off on that journey? What would be some things that like you would tell a young Will, you looking back over your career 10 years later now or more? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what would you tell a young Will starting out that might help him along the way?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think we've talked about that spark, and if you have that spark or not, and just
Hmm.
continue to say, I would just say, continue to try new things to feed that itch, and don't be afraid to. I was so grateful to go explore the different areas that I explored, and like,
Mhm.
don't be so center focused on this one area, or I can only work here. I think I'm trying to apply it to everything, but this is pretty fire service specific. But like, I'm so grateful for going to Kodiak and experiencing those things. And everywhere that I went along the way gave me tools
Yeah.
along the way
Right.
and exposed me to relationships. And so I think be open to those relationships. And I just think when doors open and close, walk through them and walk out of them, and just trust God that He's created a path for you.
Mhm.
I think,
Yeah.
and just stay driven, have that steadfastness.
Yeah.
If you know that that's what you want to do, that's your purpose. It's going to be a ride.
Right.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I would say is enjoy the ride, especially if you know you're not going to be somewhere for a long time. Get every little last bit out of your experience there, your relationships there, and
Mhm.
enjoy it. Have fun. It's an absolute blast to operate in your calling and to do what God created you to do and to do what you love to do.
Yeah.
It is so much fun.
It
Don't
is.
take it so serious.
Right.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. You're new, you're young in your career. Learn from your mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes again, but don't be so hard on yourself. I
Right.
think That's
Yeah.
one thing that I would say for me is like looking back was I was very hard on myself,
Mm.
and I wish I had a lot of fun doing it, but I could have had more fun at times.
Right. Yeah.
So enjoy the process and have fun because life is fun, life is short. Um, and if you chase your dreams, just it's your dream for a reason. You love it for a reason. It's your passion for a reason. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't stress about it.
That's right.
It'll come.
I think I would speak to the guy out there who hasn't discovered what that dream is yet, hasn't found that spark, the thing that sparked him, like we're talking about. And if you're in that place of like wanting that but not having it, then I would, one of the things I would recommend is that in that place, don't let that just become a place of that they can develop into hopeless desperation.
Yeah.
To where you're just kind of like, I'm 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 not going in the direction I want to go. I'm not able to find the things that is this that I've wanted to do. I've not been able to pursue the passion in my life. I've not even discovered what that passion is. Movement creates momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And if you decide today that I want to pursue my dream, I want to develop a dream and pursue it and live a life that I can be passionate about and live a life to where one day I look back on, I'm gonna be like, boy, I lived the best life that I could live.
Yep.
Then, one of the things I like to tell young guys is just start the ball rolling in that direction,
Yep.
even though it's not clear yet. Begin to become the man that position demands.
Yep.
What do you want to do? Who do you want to become? And begin to uh, develop yourself, body, soul, and spirit, to become that man.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that you begin to uh, work on, body, soul, and spirit. So you begin to develop your faith, begin to really lean into your relationship with God and His Word, and begin to study and begin to surround yourself with people of faith, and you begin to build your life on a foundation of faith, because ultimately, like we said in the beginning of this podcast, that knowledge of God, that understanding of who He is and who you are in Him, is going to be that's going to be the point of reference and revelation for you moving forward, because God's going to show you as
Mm-hmm.
as you lean into the Father. He's going to put the dreams in your heart. He's going to show you what He has for you.
Yep.
And so aligning yourself with that, beginning to develop yourself as a man of faith, your soul, begin to do the things that are important for your mental health, for your emotional health. Begin to build solid friendships, become a good friend, be friendly, begin to learn how to relate well with other people, um, develop your own ability to communicate and your ability to relate with people at deeper levels.
Yep.
So develop your soul. And then physically, it's like, get yourself into shape, get yourself physically fit, get yourself healthy, eat right, get plenty of, rest, do the things that it takes to get yourself healthy and strong, body, soul, and spirit. And that movement's going to create opportunities for you
Yes.
to find a door that's going to open, but you would never have found it if you didn't start.
Yep.
And so, instead of complaining, instead of looking at your situation and saying, woe is me, it's never going to work out. We talked about this in the victim versus victor mindset episode that we just put out,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, these things are all happening to me. No, those things are happening for you. God is trying to work in you to develop you into the person that is going to be required to do what you've been asked to do or called to do. And so get the ball rolling on that. Just start. And I love how you talk to guys and they're like, man, I had this, I started going to the gym and I met somebody at the gym, and then that developed a connection to where it was a divine connection.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, there's an opportunity that they didn't have before.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to start. And you're not knowing exactly what you're going to do specifically, but you need to be have a strong faith. You know, you need to be a person who knows how to relate well with others, communicate well, and love well. You know, you need to be a guy who's in shape
Yep.
and healthy. And so start on the basics. And then those doors of opportunity, those moments where you get a glimpse of what God puts in your heart as a dream, those will begin to happen in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that's going to hold you back the most is the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
If you're dreamless and you're hanging out with dreamless people,
Ooh, yeah,
you
that's
got to
really
start
true. Yep.
hanging out with dreamers, people that have goals, people that are putting action into
Mhm.
attaining their goals. And yeah, get out of a stagnant group and into a group that wants to
Yeah.
move forward. I
Yeah.
think
That's really true.
it's a cancer
Yep.
that's not wanting to move forward and not wanting to pursue dreams.
Right.
It's a cancer.
It's it's that story of like you can't expect to stay in that same group and you're not going to raise the bar within that group to a point where you're like leading them into this place of, victory and growth and that type of thing. It's the old story of the crabs in the bucket. Have you ever heard the story of the crabs in the bucket where like you get these crabs stacked in a bucket and the crab that actually makes his way and is able to work his way up to get a claw at the top of the bucket and pull himself up. Well, instead of him being able to pull himself up and then pull others out, what happens is the other crabs will typically grab a hold of
Pull
him
them
and pull
down.
him back down.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is in life. And you know, y- so you're exactly right. The saying is, "You show me your friends, I'll show you your future."
Yeah.
And so beginning to find those people, that's where, becoming a part of a solid church is huge, a solid young adult program, a solid men's group, surrounding yourself with people who are going to, who are not only pursuing excellence in their own life, but they're gonna push you forward. They're
Yeah.
gonna they're gonna raise you up and lift you up as you work to becoming better.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big piece of it too. That's really big.
Yeah. I think workout groups too, like
Yeah.
CrossFit gyms, there's driven men there too. I think like if you are wanting, like you don't know where to start as far as finding a church, well, just find a CrossFit gym and I'm sure there's some good dudes there that will
Mhm.
lead you in the right way and be role models to
Yeah.
you. Um yeah, I'm trying to think of I mean, if you're not a part of a church and you do enjoy fitness, that's where I would start, or a jujitsu class, or people that
Mhm.
are in those classes typically want to better themselves and want to make themselves stronger and want to grow. And so that's
Mhm.
also a good place to start. But yeah,
Yeah, and
church,
tho and
small
tho
group, men's group,
those are all
amazing.
communities.
Yep.
It's like they're not just going just for themselves, but they're going for the community aspect
Yep.
of it, which means that there's opportunity for you to develop relationships and, come out of your comfort zone and be put into a situation where you actually have to step out and start a conversation and relate with people, which is huge.
Well, and working out's good because it's you're suffering together creates
Oh, it's
camaraderie.
so yeah.
So I think if you can find a faith-based gym or CrossFit environment or group,
Yeah.
man, talk about growth
Yeah.
spiritually and the camaraderie of struggling together.
Mhm.
It's that would cultivate some
Oh, yeah.
incredible growth
Yeah. We,
for you.
we've done that in the past where we did a Sunday morning workout. So it was
Mhm.
just we got together once a week, and it was before church, and it was a group of us from our church, and we got a friend who's got a gym, and we would meet at his gym because they didn't have any classes going on Sunday mornings, and
Mhm.
so we'd go and he'd put together these workouts for us and just absolutely just kick our butts in a workout, and then we'd do a quick time of just like share a scripture and then pray for each other and encourage. It was the funnest. I loved it. First of
Yeah.
all, when I'm working out with guys who are in better shape than me and stronger than me or whatever, it's like I love being in that environment. And
Yeah.
they're always trying to push each other to get better and to do, to work harder. And so you're going to grow because of that. And then the whole dynamic of guys getting vulnerable and,
Yeah.
being able to share their hearts and what they're struggling with. It's huge all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some great connections made in that group where it was like, oh, that's a solid friendship for me now.
Yep.
And that's what guys need. They can't be alone on the journey. And so get the ball rolling, begin to develop yourself in those areas. And then once you begin to get an idea of like what is it you want to do, that's where it's like you have to really resist fear. It's like when you start getting a picture of like, okay, I want to go to school and become an engineer,
Yeah.
or I want to uh, go to Mountain Gateway's missions academy and spend a year of my life getting trained up as a missionary. There's going to be every excuse in your head that comes up and be like, well,
Yep.
engineering school is expensive. It's going to be 4 years of my undergraduate and, get my master's, all of the excuses, all of the fears going to creep in and cause you to not step into what it is that God has for you.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, recognize if you've responded in fear and begin to respond in faith.
Mm-hmm.
As we said before, as we get to know God the Father in our life, he has more love for us than anyone else.
Yeah.
And his love is perfect. And the Bible says perfect love casts out all fear.
Yeah.
And so when he's put something on our heart, like, hey, I want you to become a missionary. I want you to go and get trained, by Mountain Gateway, by YWAM, by whoever it is. Or I want you to go to school and get a degree. And then, man, understand that there's going to be a sense of fear that creeps in, that's going to want to creep in. But yet, when we're operating with like the Lord's moving in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is what he wants me to do. We don't have to worry. We don't have to worry. We don't have to operate in fear.
Mm-mm.
We can step out in faith and know that he's going to provide everything we need for our finances. He's going to provide the wisdom we need, the strength we need, all that we need to go through the training process.
Yeah. Yeah. Your dream's going to be big.
Yeah.
It should be big.
It should be bigger than yourself.
Yeah. It should be big. And the best thing that you can do is to take small chunks, create small goals to attain that big goal.
Yeah.
And to take actionable steps to attain it, because you're not a dream can be daunting, and a way that fear can creep in is to make that one goal your main focus. But in order to get to that goal, you're going to have to create these small goals of steps that you're going to do. And I accomplished that. Okay, what do I do next? Okay, I accomplished that. What can I do next? And you're taking steps towards that big dream.
Yep.
And meanwhile, you're attaining and accomplishing these little dreams that are going to get you to that big dream. So I think moving forward and to progress, take it one day at a time, take it one step at a time, and celebrate those wins on your way to it.
Yeah.
Like celebrate when, like for my dream, celebrate after EMT school, or celebrate when you become a volunteer. It's celebrate those things that are going to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah. It's really important, because
Mm-hmm.
those are all wins. They're all these victories that really do something in us that wouldn't have been done if we hadn't gone through that. I love that. And, it's like your ability to say, hey, I'm going to take a job on Kodiak Island because I know that I don't plan on living my entire life in Kodiak and retiring there. Although if that's what God has, great.
Mm-hmm.
But you were like, let me get that job. Let me work that job and then see what comes up next.
Mm-hmm.
And so being dedicated and giving 100%, like you were talking about when you left Kodiak, how you wanted to make sure that you communicated in such a way to where you were professional, where you showed that you cared about your position, where you weren't just going to be like, hey, I've got an opportunity down in Washington, so see you later and I'm out of here. but there was a sense of pride and professionalism
reputation.
and reputation.
Yeah.
And so you're building, that means that you were intentional in building your, putting these building blocks of your career in place, because you know that one day you're going to apply for a position and they're going to look at your resume and they're going to call Kodiak.
They're going to call the chief. Yeah.
Yep. And
what do you think about this guy? If you just ding dong ditch and just left, then that's not going to go over well.
That's right.
It's not going to look good.
And so intentionality in that pursuit, you know, as you, like you said, you segmentalize things where it's like, okay, this is my next step. I'm just going to focus on whether that's a month, 6 months, a year, 4 years, whatever.
Yep.
I'm going to take that on, and that's my focus, and that's all I'm going to, and then I'll worry about what's next then. But in that time, when you're in that place, give it 100%.
Yep.
Do your best. Build a reputation of being someone who's trustworthy, someone who's going to work hard, someone who's going to give 110%. Those are all attributes that help. They're all like ingredients that help put together someone who's going to grow and someone who's going to have opportunity knocking at your door.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying, because the dreams God puts in our heart are more than what we're capable of doing on our own. And it would be overwhelming to look at, I'm going to look at the very end of my life and see what I'm going to accomplish, because it'd be more than what we could even, handle at the time. But all I got to worry about is the next step. The next step. And then I'm going to do every step along the way with excellence. Intentionally building my life upon the wisdom of God's word, upon the obedience to what God's called me to do, and to be a man of character and integrity. And then as you do that every step of the way, you're building something that's in line with what God has for you, but you're becoming the man that's necessary for the moments in front of you.
Mm-hmm. You're on assignment.
Yes, that's right. It's so good. And so I feel like that a lot of times guys don't step into opportunities because of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because there's a study done where it talks about people's regrets when they get to the end of their life. And a lot of times when we don't step into something, it's because, well, what if I don't do well at it? Or maybe it's too risky, or I don't feel like I want to take on that type of work, that amount of work, and what they found is that when people get to the end of their life, the majority of their regrets are regrets over things that they never did, rather than regrets over the things that they did do.
Mm-hmm.
And so for our listeners out there, what are the things in your heart that you've kind of squashed down, or you've kind of stuffed because of fear, or because I don't really want to take that kind of a risk? And the things that one day when you're getting older and you're towards the end of your life, that you're going to look back and say, man, I wish I had done that.
Mm-hmm.
What are those things? Begin to look at those areas in your life and say, wow, that's a dream that I have, that God's put in my heart, and I've been stuffing it for too long. Let me take a step of faith and say, God, if this is your will, would you help me to accomplish it? And begin to take at least the first step of faith and begin to put fear aside. Take that next step of faith and say, God, help me to become the man I need to be in order to accomplish your will in my life. Begin to dream bigger, like Will said. And it's better to have, dreamed and failed on occasion than to have dreamed and never tried anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of our lives, we want to be men who have very few regrets over things that we never did, and maybe we've got some regrets over some things we did, that we tried, that we just didn't succeed on. But I'd much rather be in that position than having never tried anything and stepped out in faith.
Yeah. And you learn so much from, I hate even calling it failure, because you've learned, like you've still gained.
Yeah.
There's still gain there. It's still made you grow in areas,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a different man because of what you've been through.
Yeah. I look at some of the things that I would have in the past, I would have called as my greatest failures. And now I look at them as successful.
Yeah.
And it's because you reframe success and failure. If you go from a worldly perspective to a kingdom perspective, the question isn't, did it succeed? The question is, were you obedient?
Yeah.
And oftentimes the difference between a man who's obedient and not is fear and faith.
Yep.
And so when I've taken steps of faith and it didn't work out, and it was like, man, I wished it would have turned out differently, or man, I really screwed that up. It's like, well, yeah, did I learn a lot from it? Yes. Was it challenging? Absolutely. Was it a failure? Well, I would have originally thought so, but now looking back on it, God used it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was obedient. He used it. And so that's success.
Yeah.
And so there's so much out there. There's so much out there for us to do and to be a part of that God has going on in the world. And God is looking for men who will be willing to not only dream, but to pursue those dreams and to allow those dreams to become a reality. And the picture of you as a 18-year-old senior high schooler on a fire truck,
Just
the kid who
in
loved
heaven.
trucks when he was 4,
Yep.
who then was on a fire truck when he's 18, went to a scene and saw the impact that being a firefighter had on the life of whoever was impacted by that accident,
Mm-hmm.
and how that propelled you into a life of being a first responder. And now to where that's your career, you're a professional, you're growing, you're rising up in the ranks, and you're providing for your family and you're leading well. It's pretty amazing testimony. And it's a picture of how God will take us, and he'll take just a little seed of a dream,
Yep.
and he'll actually make it come to fruition in our lives if we won't give up.
Yep.
If we'll keep pursuing that dream. And now as he puts other dreams in your heart specifically, it's
Mhm.
like you've got a basis on which to look and say, man, I'm stepping into this 100% full of faith, because I know that it might seem overwhelming right now, but I've already been down this part of the path, and I know what God's going to do,
Yep.
even though I can't see it yet.
Yep.
And that's
Amen.
the life of faith.
Yeah.
And that's what we're
Love it.
called to as men on assignment. And so may we never stop dreaming.
Yeah.
May we never stop taking steps of faith. And may there always be something in front of us that scares us just a little bit, to where it's like, okay, here we go, Lord. Right? And as we do that, we will actually begin to see a string or a series of dreams that were met as we live our lives in faith for the Lord.
So
And
good.
the impact of those decisions will impact not only us, our immediate family, but for generations to come.
Amen.
Well, good, man. Well, thanks for sharing a bit of your story. It was great to hear. I've not heard a lot of that. I never knew you were like
It's complicated.
on Kodiak Island, and you lived in Lebanon, and all not in Lebanon, but you lived in Lebanon.
Yeah. I know those people down there, they take offense to that if you call it the wrong.
Yep, that's
thing.
right.
It's
You don't
spelled the exact same.
That's right. It's Lebanon, Oregon, not Lebanon.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're not Lebanese.
Nope.
So it's great to hear your story, and I'm just so proud of you. And I hope that our listeners are able to get some encouragement to be men who dream big and trust God in a big way, and take steps of faith in pursuing what God's put in your lives as assignments.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we got a lot of great things out of the conversation here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, good. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. It's been a great time hearing your story. And if you are new to the On Assignment podcast, we release an episode every Friday, and we'd love to have you subscribe to our page, leave a like or a comment after listening to the podcast, and whatever input you've got, we'd love to hear it. We also communicate to our Mobilized Man family through a weekly dispatch that we send out every Friday morning at 5 a.m. called Waypoints. And that is weekly guidance for life and leadership. And so we share principles each week that will help us grow as men who are living our lives on assignment. as well as we announce that week's podcast episode and then any upcoming events, that type of thing. It's a great place to stay connected, and also just a weekly point of encouragement that comes right to your inbox. And we get so much stuff in our inbox that really has no value. It's great to get something that has tremendous value every week. Mm-hmm. So look forward to that. You can sign up for our Waypoints Dispatch on our website, which is mobilizedman.com. On the homepage there, you can sign up, and we'll send out that weekly dispatch to you every week once you sign up. Sure appreciate you guys being with us. Love having you on the journey. And until next week, stay on the path.